They are especially fickle and unabashedly independent. Gen Z has little and has little right now to lose. So this very large chunk of voters under the age of 28, well, as we look ahead to the midterms, they're a vital demographic. And as you are about to see in our featured story, they are decidedly dropping Trump like a bad habit. Welcome to Occupy Democrats, and hit that subscribe button if you think Lindsey Graham sounds just a little sloshed here.
You know what? Because I'm pro-life doesn't mean I won't kill you. No matter where you're conceived, you're a human being. Do you believe that? Yeah. I'm going to be the Judiciary Chairman if I get reelected.
Phew, what a peach, eh? Well, in our breaking story today, Gen Z has spoken, and Trump is once again covering his ears. CNN just released a devastating poll that justifies language like, free fall and largely abandoned. And remember, this was a group that swung the election to Trump. So here's what they were thinking just a few months back. And today, well, you'll see in our featured story what they're thinking now. Is our breaking story. It's on the other side of this.
If you agree, raise your hand. Trump is following through on his promises.
Just been lackluster.
Kind of a mixed bag.
I'm not saying that he's a perfect man. Trust me, he's not.
In November, Trump took over a key block of voters, young men. 6 months, nearly 200 executive orders, multiple military actions, and a massive spending bill later.
It's going to make this country into a rocket ship. It's going to be really great.
We checked in with 6 of these voters.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to have this conversation.
To find out what they think of his job so far.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
I'm going to say a statement, and you guys are going to raise your hand if you agree with the statement. President Trump's deportation plan is moving too slowly. Let's start with the people who agree.
Immigration, he was going to be like, bam, bam, bam. But it's kind of like going a little slow, and I feel like we're getting just enough to be satisfied.
He hasn't even beaten Obama with deportations so far that I know of. He made an exception for agricultural workers. He's like, okay, well, that's kind of a big section of the population there.
I mean, I feel a little differently. I feel like the border is arguably the number one thing that he's held his promise on. You talked about the deportation numbers, and I get it. It didn't surpass Obama. But in terms of trying to solve the problem, trying to stop people from coming in that aren't coming here the right way or legally, right? So that on that hand, I think that he has been, fulfilling his promise.
There should be an easier process for immigrants to enter or work in the country legally.
I understand that illegal immigration is what he campaigned on, but he did promise in a lot of his speeches that he would look into the issues of H-1B visas and green cards.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card.
That was something that really made me inclined towards Trump, and the lack of accountability and the lack of clear messaging regarding that topic is also making me frustrated on how I see that Trump isn't delivering on that promise.
So we're going to end these endless wars, they never separate.
I am happy with the president's approach to foreign policy.
He's been trying on the war in Ukraine. I mean, obviously he's got a big mouth. He says, "Oh, it's going to be solved in the first week that I'm here."
I will settle the war in Ukraine before I even take office. I'll settle it as president-elect.
Yeah, in our breaking story today, that optimism or lack thereof that gentleman spoke of, it's reflected in CNN's stunning new poll just out this morning. It's terrible news for the old bird flipper. Here it is.
The kids, perhaps no group swung more in the 2024 election than younger voters. They were decisive in Donald Trump's win. We've got new data this morning on what they think now. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enten. There have been some pretty big shifts here.
Yeah, these guys are swingers. That's what we're talking about here. Take a look here. Generation Z. John liked that. Gen Z, party ID margin, Dems versus the GOP. In 2024, look at this. It was just a 6-point margin between the Democrats and Republicans. Democrats just led by 6 points. Very small. Remember, Donald Trump did very well for a Republican candidate amongst the youngest part of the electorate. But take a look here. 2025. Hello. A huge widening of the lead for Democrats among Generation Z, tripling their lead on party identification from 6 all the way up to 20. That was, in fact, the largest shift considerably more so than any other group. Yes, there was a shift in the overall electorate, but this more than double the shift that we saw among the electorate at large towards the Democratic Party.
Okay, and we said it was decisive for Donald Trump. How have opinions shifted toward Donald Trump among this group?
Okay, so this, in some ways, you might say this, this doesn't necessarily apply to Donald Trump. It absolutely does apply to Donald Trump. I mean, he has just fallen off a cliff when it comes to Generation Z. Look at this. Donald Trump's net approval rating in February of 2025. John said it right. Wow.
This was actually a month into the administration.
This was a month into the administration. He was at plus 10 points on the net approval rating. He was on the right side of the ledger. Look at this. Falling off that cliff. That is a drop of 42 points to negative 32 points on the net approval rating amongst Generation Z. My goodness gracious, this, as I said, is a very swingy group, and it has swung very much away from Donald John Trump.
And if anyone knows swingers, Harry, as we said. But why? Why, and what does it mean going forward for this group?
Okay. So if I'm Democrat, I'm celebrating. Yay, Donald Trump has fallen off a cliff. Yay, we've gained in terms of the party ID margin. Now, what's important here includes independents who lean towards the party. Independence being the key word up there. Generation Z is more independent than any other generation, and you can see it here. Take a look here. 56% of Generation Z self-identify as independents when you don't push them towards a party, compared to just 40%, the average of the other generations. So yes, they are in the Democratic camp right now. They don't like what Donald Trump is doing. But look, that ball can easily go back into the other court. Right now, Democrats got to take that ball off the ground. We're in the NFL playoffs, and they got to run with that ball, because if they don't, I can assure you that the Republican Party will, as we saw in the 2024 election.
A very fickle group, to be sure. All right, Harry, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
As the NFL analogy is spot on for the Democrats, we're going to leave it today with the profound words of football head and a brilliant writer, Hunter S. Thompson, the late Hunter S. Thompson, who after 9/11 said this, and ain't it true today, Rube? The news is bad today in America and for America. There is nothing good or hopeful about it except for Nazis, warmongers, and rich greedheads, and it's getting worse and worse in logarithmic progressions.